Final lesson in Unit 3 is on estimating percentages. So this is a calculator-free lesson, and it is designed to be that way on purpose. Now, this is something that I made up myself. So if you have questions, you don't need to go to a book and online. You can just bring them right to me. And it's a cool trick for math teachers, at least. I think it's cool for you guys as well. If we're dealing with a number like $24 and we want to know 10% of that, which is actually pretty easy, we just have to move the decimal 1 to the left, which becomes 2.40. Now, if you wanted to discover 20% of that, that's just double whatever this number was, which is 4.80. If you wanted to find 30%, you'd triple it. 40% would be times 4, and so on. But if you wanted to learn an in-between percentage like 15, all you would do is you would average these two, which in this case, since it goes up by 2.4, we just have to divide 2.4 divided by 2, which is 1.2, and we go up by that much, so 3.60. Now you may ask yourselves, why do I care? Why is this important? And I'll tell you why. If you're ever at a restaurant, you are supposed to tip between 15% and 20%. And it's very difficult to necessarily know what that means. And if you're like, well, I can just pull out my phone, it's got a tip calculator on there, that's fine. But what happens if you're sitting with your boss or your bosses and you're bringing them out to eat, and all of a sudden you're like, well, I'll get the tip, and then you pull out your phone to calculate that number? Well, this person's hiring you and paying you to be intelligent, and all of a sudden you have to pull out your phone to do basic arithmetic. It looks pretty bad. But if you know this trick, you can avoid that. So I'm going to do these two, and then you guys can work on the next couple. So the first thing we want to do is when we're dealing with decimals, we want to just ignore them. Since we're estimating, decimals don't bother us. So we're going to turn this into $23. Okay? And we want to learn 10% of that, which is just moving the decimal 1 to the left, which is 2.3, or 2.30 if we're dealing with money. Doubling that over here to the very far right would be 4.60. And now halfway in between those, well, we just do 2.3 divided by 2. That's 1.15. We go this number up by 1.15, gives us 3.45. And that right there is how much we should tip. Okay, now since we're estimating, you're not exact and you don't want to be exact, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you went into the restaurant and you tipped them $3 or you tipped them $4, no one's going to get mad at you because you were close to the percentage, because you're estimating. But it's better to estimate than pull out your phone and you make it look like you don't understand percents. Down here at the bottom, same idea. We're going to get rid of the decimal and turn this into 65. So 10% of 65 would be 6.5. Doubling that would be 13. Now to go halfway in between, halfway of 6 is 3. Halfway of 0.5 is 0.25. So we got to add 3.25 and 6.5, which is 9.75. And that's how much we should tip. Try these two on your own. So for the top one, we round this to 32. 10% is 3.2. This is 6.4. And halfway in between those two numbers, well, that's adding 1.6 to this, which ends us at $4.80. Now you notice I kind of cheat my way through these a little bit. I don't label them because if I'm asking for 15%, that's the only one that I care about. Down here on the bottom, this becomes 48 because we're going to round up. So this is 4.8, 9.6, and adding 2.4 here would be 7.20 right there. Okay, remember the whole goal of this is to not be using a calculator. So if you're a tiny bit off, there's nothing wrong with that, but I do not want you using a calculator. That's the whole point. All right, any questions? Make sure you bring them to me as soon as possible.